All right, welcome to you Sagittariuses out there. My name is Athen, and this is for October of 2014. All right, so it's an eclipse month. We had eclipses back in April, and now it's time to wrap some things up that we started in April and have some transformative new beginnings. So think back to April. April was a very tense, almost volcanic type of energy back pretty much for that whole period there. And a lot of things changed for a lot of us and kind of got us moving in a certain direction. So if you can think back to that, it'll help you understand exactly what's culminating for you this month, because this month will be a culmination of that and then a new beginning somewhere else. And the culmination for you is in your fourth house. So the fourth house has to do with home, family, the past. It has to do with your emotions. It has to do with basically your roots and your anchor, because it's your inner temple. It's just the temple in general. And that's why, you know, family and home is associated with it, because it's your roots come from there. And also past lives and stuff too. So whatever it is, it's probably working on all those levels, but maybe one or two in particular. So think back to April and something will culminate there. Perhaps some of you change locations or thinking about changing locations. This could be a time when that might happen. Maybe some changes in the family, some whatever it is. Whatever you've been kind of experiencing over the past 6 months will come to a fruition. And there's a lot of freedom here too, because Uranus is there. Uranus is part of this grand trine, which I'm going to talk about too. And it's just what it's telling me is just a lot of freedom associated around it. So whatever it is, it's really tapping into your higher self. So be free, be yourself, and you'll find the more you do that, the more the channel opens up for these changes. Now, this is happening in the beginning of the month on the 8th. It's the Lunar Eclipse, and it's happening in Pisces. Now, before that, however, we're going to have Mercury retrograde this month from the 4th through the 25th. And what's interesting is that Mercury is retrograding in the house that the solar eclipse is going to take place later in the month. So in the beginning of the month is the culmination. And then later in the month, it'll be the new beginning. Because wherever there's a sort of ending or culmination, there's a new beginning and a new path. And that new beginning, that new path is in your 11th house, which again is associated with freedom. So that whole higher self freedom aspect is really emphasized for you. And I think what it's going to do is, I think you're going to be reflecting on your ideals, okay? 11th house is ideals. It's almost like your visions and what you see in the big picture for, you know, everything and everyone, almost the world. And so, you know, that's why Aquarius is associated with the 11th house, and Aquarius is associated with humanitarian things and such. But whatever it is, maybe it's technological, maybe it's humanitarian, maybe it's has to do with your freedom or your ideals in some way, your big picture plans, whatever that is. And you're going to be reflecting on it this month when Mercury's retrograde. You know, wherever Mercury starts to go retrograde, that's the sort of emphasis of the reflection. And he's going to dip into your 10th house of career, so there will be a little bit of a consideration there. And really, the whole career thing, and again, this is not just career that's necessarily for money, it's just what you are providing of service. A lot of you will be putting a lot of energy into that area, that 10th house sector, for the first half of the month, while the Sun and Venus are there. So there's still going to be reflection, still going to see things finishing up there, and this is the same as last month, the second half of September, where, you know, it's the same kind of energy in that 10th house. So wrapping things up there, but then starting to think about, you know, the ideal side of things. And you've been putting a lot of work into your ideals too, with Saturn transiting your 11th. Or perhaps a lot of you have been getting, you know, into groups or group-oriented type of activities. Just something that involves the community or the higher, the unity of, you know, everyone on Earth and beyond. So think about that. And whatever it is, you know, Saturn is finishing up that transit in that 11th house, and this is really a time where you've really spent a lot of time structuring those 11th house activities, and so you're finishing it up now. Saturn will be going into your 12th in the very early part of November, so it's finishing things up there, but it's something new coming from all this hard work that you're putting into the ideals and such. So you'll be reflecting on that, so consider that. This is a month where it's not like April where there was a lot of squares, intense energy. This month it's harmonious. There's lots of trines and sextiles and such. So it's an easy sort of energy. So I want to say, with easy energies, we don't always do something. So it's almost like the opportunity is there for these new beginnings and culminations. And so it's your choice. It's your choice how much energy you want to put into it. Now, also with Mercury retrograde, it's not really a month to really go full steam ahead. It's a month to really reflect and think about things. Now, of course, moving forward, and this is going to be a very powerful month, but just make sure you're reconsidering, you're looking at the details and going over everything, crossing the T's, dotting the I's sort of thing, okay, during this month. But if your higher self is guiding you, there's a lot of freedom and energy, by all means, go for it. Just keep that conscious awareness on the, essentially on the present moment. And then he'll be going direct in that 10th, so I think there will be then something finishing up there as well with the career stuff and such, the service, maybe something you guys are doing in the public eye. But that is going to wrap up, and then whatever's wrapping up in the 10th is going to create a new beginning in that 11th house that I talked about. New freedom, new spiritual path even. 11th house is associated with your higher self, and that can set you in a new direction. So yeah, look to April, try to get some guidance because it's all connected into the culmination this month for you. Now, we have that grand trine I talked about, and like I said, it's involving Uranus and also this lunar eclipse, but it's also involving Jupiter and Mars. Now, Mars is transiting your 12th house, okay, for the first half of this month. And so it's almost like you guys are putting in energy into something spiritual or something that's creating peace in your life. You guys are wanting more peace, more tranquility in your life. And this is good because it's a resting period. And your energy here with Mars in your 12th is almost resting you up for a new Mars cycle, a new beginning in terms of the energy you're going to put into things and your projects and stuff. So use this time, especially the first half, to rest up the energy side of things, or to direct it into a 12th house activity, which could be, it's really dream space, intuition, anything spiritual, meditation, those sorts of things. And then that's going to help recalibrate you this month. And because it's part of this grand trine, it's supporting you in all of these shifts. And it's also supporting you in this expansion that is going on in your 8th house of transformation. You guys are going through an alchemical process, or at least being, aware of the immense beauty and excitement that comes from the changes in life. And so the more you open up to the changes of life, the more it's going to support all this as well. All right, so I'm going to draw a card for you guys just to get a little bit more guidance to see where Spirit wants me to put a little bit more emphasis. Mars, what do you know? I was talking a lot about Mars. So emphasis on Mars, okay? And notice how Mars is, he's confident. He's just sitting back. And that reminds me of Mars in the 12th house, which is confident, courageous, but resting and taking, Mars isn't always going out and getting them, so to speak. Oh, he's not always out in the mix of things. He is just, he's a warrior, and warriors need to rest up, for their next mission. So I think that's really what this card's telling me. But also, this card actually, what's going to happen is mid-month, and I'm glad this card came up, mid-month, Mars is going to be going over your guys' ascendants. Okay, so for the first half, like I said, rest up, but mid-month you're going to notice a shift. Okay, I noticed a shift into then recharge, you're feeling good, you're ready, you're motivated, you're ready to start some new things. And I think that's what's all, yes, and that's forming beautiful sextiles with that 11th house, so I think that's all associated with these new beginnings in terms of your guys' freedom and ideals and stuff. So very, very good stuff here. So yeah, first half, rest up. Second half, everything looks green light. And as long as you're crossing the T's, dotting the I's with that Mercury retrograde, it all looks really good. All right, Sagittarius, thanks for watching. Please be sure to subscribe for my daily, weekly, and monthly horoscopes. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.